Labour is on your side, the newest slogan from Team Keith. Not quite a relaunch, can't make it all about him this time, presumably as the local elections are looming around the corner. That, or they've decided 30-odd attempts or whatever it is to get the public to like him just isn't going to work. He is about as likeable as a wasp at a picnic, and getting quizzed over the weekend on the mainstream news channels, he certainly looked like he was chewing one, floundering and struggling with even the simplest concepts of what he'd do to improve people's lives. The cost of living crisis is, of course, at the forefront of people's minds right now. Starmer spoke to Sky's Niall Paterson for one, saying how Labour would impose a windfall tax to reduce people's energy bills by up to £600. Up to £600. Implying it'd be means-tested, likely less than this for many, and which would be lovely if bills weren't set to rise by nearly £700 for 22 million people from this week. A windfall tax is a one-off thing too, and with the price cap set to rise again in October by another 40% on top of what it's rising by now. This is a ridiculously lightweight response from the party supposedly of the working class, which won't make people's lives better, just slightly less worse for a few months. It shows an absolute lack of understanding of ordinary people's incomes by Starmer and his wretched shadow chancellor, Rachel Reeves. He talked of the choice between heating and eating people were having to make now, ignoring the fact that for many, they have been making this choice now for a heck of a long time. The choice for them is now between starving and freezing. Deepak Sheffield said it on my socialist telly show this week. Jack Monroe has been saying it for weeks too. People will die, and no political party is prepared to stand up to that. He claimed to understand the situation and have a practical plan to deal with it, but I'm afraid that simply isn't true, and he could not manage to get it out. Starmer went on to the BBC to talk to Charlie State as well. He was asked what would happen when the money runs out for people in crisis, which is a perfectly valid point. Even Martin Lewis can't find a workaround right now. People simply don't have enough money. The disabled and pensioners, most vulnerable, having received the least government support, are the worst off. All he could do is waffle about not putting people in that position to start with. The question is, what would you do to fix it now? They are in that position. And he had nothing. Car crash after car crash with no meaningful answers. We have an opposition leadership intent on only being slightly less awful than what we have now. That's their end game. Will help a little on energy, but not by too much. Labour might risk losing a badly needed donor or something. They want to raise the minimum wage to £10 in 2024, when he once campaigned for £15 an hour, even losing a shadow cabinet member over it, Andy McDonald, who refused to go back on this pledge, unlike Keith. That had improved people's lives. This is just 50p more than the minimum wage is today. A 5% increase that, even if implemented today, would be a below inflation rise as inflation sits at 6.2%. That's his 2 years' time election pledge. He just smacks of not even knowing what the minimum wage is, not understanding the effect it has on ordinary people, or him and Reeves even understanding the concept of inflation, which will almost certainly make this a regressive move by the time we get to the general election. It'll be even worse then. They've got to come up with something better than this. Even the Tories are heading into 2024 promising £10.50 an hour, and had been since before Keith came out with his £10 perler. When he won't commit to acting to deal with energy price hikes meaningfully with renationalisation, which he stood for Labour leader on, a pledge to put public ownership back in public hands and not making profits for shareholders, but he went back on it all. He's not on your side. He's a liar. When his answer is to hike your bills by slightly less than we've seen, but not actually reduce them, he's not on your side. He's an idiot. He could call for it to be illegal for energy to be cut off, much as we have with water. He hasn't, because he's not on your side. When he could demand a meaningful rise in the minimum wage, but seems unaware of what it even is now, he's not on your side. He doesn't actually know or care. Starmer has kept repeating people don't want a revolution. But with him as an opposition leader in name only, quite honestly, it's little wonder there's more and more talk of that from people who know he's not on your side. He has said another future is possible, but we have to fight for it. Well, we all know how you get on in a fight, don't we, Keith?